Ah, yes, the Volkswagen Golf R, the pinnacle of German hot hatches. This thing has a whole bunch of power and an all-wheel drive powertrain to put that power to the ground. But what does that translate to in terms of highway fuel economy? Today we're going to go find out. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. Today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test of the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R. Apparently we have some sort of hey blank system in this car as well. I didn't realize that we had that. Anyway, in today's test we're going to go do 50 miles out and 50 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour to see what sort of realistic fuel economy number you can expect in this car. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. So far, driving this car around, I actually like it quite a bit more than the GTI. And that's interesting because for the Mark 7 generation, I preferred the GTI over the Golf R. The Golf R was very buttoned down and frankly boring, and I just didn't see how anyone should pay the extra money to get the Golf R when there are so many other performance options and when the GTI was so good. But in this generation, the GTI is kind of boring and a little too buttoned down, and the Golf R actually adds a good amount of fun. So if you do want to see more on this car, we're doing a live drive later today. We've also got a DM test drive shot by Chris, and we're going to be doing 2 sound system tests as well, a standard test on this Harman Kardon system and a members only sound test. So if you'd like to see any of those, links will be in the description. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's highway fuel economy test, which gives this Golf R 30 miles per gallon, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. We know there are people who take their vehicles on long road trips and would like to know what sort of numbers you can realistically expect in the real world. Boy, I would really like to do a highway fuel economy test on that Hummer H2. Split-second tacticals. That'd be cool. Get maybe 10. Anyway, so in order to test that, we're going to head over to the gas station here, fill up, go out, and do 50 miles out, and then 50 miles right back to the same pump, fill up using the same 3-click fueling method, and get a result. A few things to note for today. Outside temperatures 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Tire pressures have been set to their door placard, cold PSI. I'll have to double check what that is, but we set it yesterday. And not only that, but these are winter tires, so that will drop the fuel economy a little bit. I know it's not the ideal test, but hey, it's winter here in Michigan, so we're running winters, so we'll maybe tack on an extra mile per gallon or so near the end. And we're also going to run the climate control at 73 degrees auto. So let's hop out and fill it up. 1.679 gallons going in for our first fill. Before we actually start the engine, we're going to reset our GPS and the car's trip computer. And we're ready to begin. A few different drive modes here in the Golf R. You've got Comfort, Sport, and a few different race modes, including Drift and a special Nürburgring mode. We're going to do this test in Comfort. That seems to be the closest thing to Eco. We're going to take it nice and easy over to the highway. It's about half a mile away. Pick up the test from there. The goal of this test isn't to hypermile. We're not trying to get the best possible fuel economy for this car, but rather a realistic figure. So in order to do that, we're getting up to highway speed here at a reasonable pace. We're going to set our cruise control at a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour. That should allow us to average 70 over the whole test. No problem getting up to speed here with this Hardy 2-liter turbo. Looks like the GPS seems to be just about accurate with the car's speedometer, so we're going to set in right at 72. You do have adjustable aggression levels for the car's cruise control, adaptive cruise control. Sorry, I'm really getting thrown off by these buttons. Oh my gosh, that's so confusing. Wait a minute. All right, let's just restart here. Turn cruise control on. Get past the stupid slow cars. There's certain things about this car that I think they do them to make them seem convenient, but overall it just takes such a learning curve. So okay, I get it. You press the following distance button to change the following distances and then use plus and minus, but for that little period of time you can't use plus and minus to adjust the speed. So yeah, a lot of learning curves in this car. But either way, we're set off here. I'm actually kind of surprised you hear the engine as much as you do. I think cruising on the highway it would be completely silent, but I guess there's a pretty sporty exhaust in there. bit of wind noise as well, but not too bad. Alright, well, we're going to continue on with the test out this Harman Kardon sound system, and catch up with you at the end. And in the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip. Coming into the end of the highway fuel economy test here in the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R. Just barely squeezing into EPA, which is pretty impressive considering the cooler temperatures here and the fact that we are on winter tires. So if this car's trip computer proves to be correct, and when we get back, we got 30 miles per gallon. You could probably expect over 30 miles per gallon in normal warm weather conditions. Other highway observations, I would kind of expect a vehicle at this cost to be a little bit better of a comfort machine, if you will. I mean, I understand the whole point of the Golf R is to be sporty, so I get that, but they're kind of making the rest of the interior, they put so much care into the tech and driving like systems and stuff that you'd think maybe just a little bit more seat comfort. I'd say the Civic Type, or not Type R, but SI that I did last week's a little bit more comfortable. And the active lane keeping really drives me nuts, or rather the travel assist. It yells at you very frequently and very regularly. Even if you have your hands on the wheel a little bit, I'll cut to a little clip here and show you from when I was driving earlier. Look at this. I have my hand on the wheel. I'm even putting in steering input. Look, I'm turning the wheel, and it's still mad at me. Look at that. It's one of the most unsensitive systems, I should say. Like it doesn't realize that I am steering. I do have my hand on the wheel. I am paying attention. This thing has beeped at me so many times through this fuel economy test. It's really frustrating. So that's a little frustrating, especially coming out of, again, that Honda system and the Jeep systems both worked so well. But we're gonna get the car back to the pump here, fill it up, and see what sort of numbers we got. 3.323 gallons going in for our final fill. By the way, 42 psi is our cold tire pressure. It's pretty high. 102.2 divided by 3.323 is giving us 30.75 miles per gallon, rounding up to 31 MPG, even on winter tires and in just about freezing temps. That's really quite good. And to be fair, I'm not incredibly surprised. German 2-liter turbos, German engines in general tend to do well on these high-speed, steady-state tests, but still cool to see a car with so much power and so much driving performance get over 30 miles per gallon. We've got a 14.5 gallon fuel tank in here, so 14.5 times 31 miles per gallon is getting you an effective highway cruising range of just under 450, so we're going to say 440 miles of effective highway cruising range at 70 miles per hour here in the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R with the 7-speed automatic dual clutch transmission. Like I said, pretty neat. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Golf R, check the links in the description. We've got our Harman Kardon sound system test, a members only sound system test, a live drive, and a DM test drive. All a bunch of good content. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.